they're not winning within 3 years, they're out of there. If they win early on and then they follow up the next 2 years with bad seasons, they're out of there and they're gone. You are watching and listening to the Indy Drills podcast. It's a DB podcast where we talk about all things coverage, defense, play in the secondary, shutting down pass offenses, and keeping those guys from scoring 40 and 50 points a game, which they currently seem to be doing all across the board. Happy to have you guys here with you. We're powered by All Eyes DB Camp and sponsored by this great book right here, 101 DB Tips. It is the ultimate defensive back reference guide. If you're trying to improve your game, grab more interceptions, become more of a playmaker in the secondary, this is your book. Great for players, coaches, trainers, parents of players, everything right there. Link in the description down below. Now that we're on from that, what are the common current events that we have going on in the DB world? There was a big trade that went down last week at the end of the trade deadline. It was Sauce Gardner leaving New York, going to the doing so well Indianapolis Colts. For that, he got an immediate trip out to Germany and a game against the Atlanta Falcons. I saw this trade go down and it just struck me. Maybe I missed this. I don't know where it happened. But when Sauce Gardner came out and he was in the draft and started playing, it was all good. There was just a wave of positivity around Sauce Gardner. I don't know where it was coming from. Was there some kind of media machine behind it? Whatever the case may be. Now, that sounds like I'm saying Sauce Gardner was not good. No, I'm not saying that. Sauce Gardner was a top corner coming out, but everything just seemed to be positive about him. And so I'm saying that because in contrast to some other guys that come out and are great, there's always some negativity that comes in there. There's just some downgrading of a guy's game. That just seems to be par for the course, especially with defensive backs, because most out there in traditional media and fans don't really understand what it's like to play corner, what's going on there. They don't understand the schemes, don't know the techniques, and then they're basically tend to be unrealistic. But nevertheless, all this positivity about Sauce Gardner, especially through that rookie season, all love. And then it really struck me when he was traded last week from the Jets to the Colts that all that love has turned into hate. And it really just lends credence to that motto that's out there: you will live long enough as a hero to become a villain. When, folks out there, you guys listening to me, please, someone tell me down here in the comment section, when did Sauce Gardner turn into this villain? What was it? Was it one particular thing? Was it just fatigue? What was it? Because there was so much negativity when this guy went to the Colts, overrated, blah, 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 all that great stuff. You guys can tell me what that was all about. By and large, fans are too hard on cornerbacks and guys in the secondary. Like I said, they're unrealistic. They don't think receivers should catch a ball at all on a cornerback when they're in man. It's like they feel like the cornerbacks are going against high school football players. No, those are professionals on the other side who, by the way, have the rules in their favor. They're supposed to catch the football. That is what the NFL wants. Matter of fact, the better you get at pass coverage in the NFL, the more rules they're going to make against you so that you stop being as good as pass coverage. I'm going to just break this out to you fans that are watching this right now. Maybe some of you guys that are really involved in the game understand this. You cannot, in this day and age, play cornerback the way Darrelle Revis played it. And he last played not too long ago in this league. It might have been 10 years ago. We were still watching Darrelle Revis play in this league. He was so good at what he was doing. Richard Sherman and those guys in Seattle were so good at what they were doing at corner that they made it more difficult to play that way. Understand that the NFL feels like they have a better product for the common fan and for the masses when points are getting scored. Even more so now that they've allowed prop betting and that fantasy sports has become such a great thing. 17 to 14 football games doesn't really promote the brand and expand the game. So, yeah. Nevertheless, bringing it all back, I just want to know why did Sauce Gardner become this villain? All right. I think it's a great pickup for the Indianapolis Colts. It is my understanding that they were definitely looking for another cornerback to have out there in the field. Of course, Charvarius Ward is on the shelf, is scheduled to come back during the season. But since Xavier Howard retired, it was really important for them to continue to have two solid cornerbacks out there on the island to just kind of slow down some of the passing games that you have in the NFL and that they undoubtedly would meet in the playoffs. So they were trying to make a deal. Supposedly, they were also going after another New York cornerback, a guy on the other team by the name of Tay Banks. That was apparently in discussion, and I'm sure general manager Chris Ballard he's a guy that likes the secondary, definitely likes cornerbacks. I know that firsthand. And I'm sure they asked about several guys throughout the league. Ultimately ends up being Sauce Gardner. I think it's a great pickup. All right. Fans, there's so much hate around Sauce Gardner that they were just so willing to jump on the fact that he gave up a touchdown in the game. You guys don't know the coverage. He's playing a 3-match coverage, looked like. He squeezed on a post, and they ran a double move on a slot guy, and fans want to attach that to him. First of all, fans, if you don't have at least a general knowledge of how coverages work, I would say you probably need something above that, not a high school diploma on pass coverage and scheme. You need like a college degree on scheme. You really shouldn't be going all in to offer your comments on it, but you will anyway. I get it. But okay, there's so much hate there. They're just looking for a reason. And I just would love to know when that came about. When did that start? So you guys hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know when Sauce Gardner became this big villain, because it was all love when he first went to the Jets. I'm just interested in how things like that happen. Moving right along, another big signing happened yesterday. Asante Samuels, who's been on the shelf because he had surgery on his neck. That's a very serious thing, obviously, in the game of football, where, you're tackling all the time. And as much as we try to take the head out of tackles in the game, it's very much a part of a tackle. Sometimes there's just no avoiding it. So if you have a neck injury, it could be pretty serious, as folks were wondering why Asante Samuel had not been picked up yet in this season, where it seems like every week a team needs a cornerback. He is deemed healthy enough, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are the first ones to jump on that, signing him to the practice squad yesterday. And yet another high, big-name corner in Pittsburgh. Interesting to see how they will use him there. Darius Slay is still out on the edges, but, these signs of age are showing. Father time comes for everyone. Looks like Jalen Ramsey's probably going to be playing more inside at safety than at corner. And so they need guys on the outside. They've had some injuries back there. And so Asante Samuel is the new pickup for them. I don't expect him to be on the practice squad very long. I expect to see him elevated rather quickly. You guys tell me down below, what do you think of the Asante Samuel signing at Pittsburgh? Is it a good fit? Do you think he'll do good things there, or do you think there's somewhere else that he probably would have been better off signing? Would love to know you guys' thoughts on that. So that's just two of the bigger things that were happening in our current events here as the games continue to happen each and every week. The New York Giants lost their coach. They have parted ways with Brian Daboll. I think that was coming. And when you start getting guys injured, that just compounded it. I think Brian Daboll was going to get fired at the end of the year anyway. He was on thin ice coming into the season. It has not been a good start to the season for the New York Giants. And I just think once Cam Scatteraboo and Jackson Dart got injured in 2 out of the last 3 weeks, I think that was just enough for the Giants brass. And so they've pulled the plug on him. There'll be a new coach in New York. Of course, fans out there think Lane Kiffin should take the job. Lane Kiffin should take every college and NFL job that is now available. It's just amazing how that happens. Maybe I'm on Twitter too much, but nevertheless, that is another current topic that is out there, another current event, I should say. All right, first thing that I want to get on here is high school player development. I've obviously done a lot of work in the world of recruiting, high school football recruiting. Half this channel is shared with Gridiron Studs. And so, I have some knowledge in that area. I've gone through the process myself. My two sons went through it, and then obviously coaching high school football and running a recruiting service. I get that. Much has changed over the years, but the part and area of which I continue to have extensive knowledge in is how high school defensive backs are recruited and viewed by the college coaches at the next level. And one of the biggest things that I have noticed, and I may have mentioned this on this channel or in previous podcasts, is that seemingly there is better development at the group of 5 FCS Division II level for defensive backs than there is at the Power 4 level. And there are a number of reasons for that. If anyone out there disagrees, feel free to, disagree in a comment section, but I'm going to be here and tell you otherwise because I have extensive experience with it. I train guys for their pro days and combines every year, and that means guys from all different levels. So I get D2 guys, Division 3 guys, I get FCS, all groups. And over the last 5 years, it's been a noticeable difference in the skill level and development of the players from the lower levels versus the guys at the Power 4 level. Not necessarily saying they're better players, but over the long run, I have my idea as to who the better players are going to be. What's happening at the Power 4 level is this. College coaches are really going after the height, weight, size, speed guys. All right. They're looking for physical talents at the high school level. So in essence, they're looking for the guys with traits that they can't teach. So a tall corner, a guy that's exceptionally fast, a track guy. They don't feel like they want guys who already have these things because that's what's going to allow them to survive out on the field. They feel like we'll be able to teach them everything else once they get here. We can't teach them to be taller. We don't really feel like we could teach them to be faster, but if we can get that kind of talent on campus, that kind of person will get on the field right away because they won't be mismatched against guys that have been playing for 3-4 years when we go play these other teams. And we'll just teach them what they need to know. That's first and foremost what they're going after. I don't think that's anything that's new. That's kind of always been the case. The big and fast guy has always been highly sought after in college football. What is happening, though, is they're taking less and less high school football players because of the transfer portal. And because of that now, the guys who don't fit into those categories, you're not a 6-foot-plus corner, you're not 190 to 200 pounds. You're not a 4'4", 4'3" guy or a 10'7", 10'5", 100-meter guy. You had better be well-developed at the high school level. So that now puts a whole lot of pressure on you guys. You can't just go out there and be raw and think you're going to get looked at by coaches if you are not exceptional physically. Now, my advice to the really young ones, so if you're a parent watching this or you somehow happen to be an 11 or 12-year-old that's really perceptive that can sit down here and watch the Indy Drills podcast, first of all, kudos to you. But for that age group or even younger, my biggest advice to you is develop your athleticism. All right. I know guys in the off season, because I get the calls, you want me to train your 9 and 10-year-old out there. And I've spoken about this. It's not what you need in the off season. What you need in the off season is to develop your athleticism. All of the key inner workings, super detailed defensive back stuff, you can kind of build up to that later on. What you need early on is for that kid to be as fast as possible and have as many skills as possible. And by skills, I mean go play something else. Go play basketball. Go play baseball. Go play soccer if you can, which is difficult, because those, football and soccer season runs together. But play another sport, multiple sports if you can. Develop your skill level. Track being the best one, because all you do at defensive back is run. And so you should develop that. Develop your athleticism. Okay. So when you get to high school, that's not a thing that you're trying to catch up on. You don't want to be catching up on athleticism when you get to that high school level because you're going to run out of time really, really fast. You're going to be behind the eight ball. You might be a highly skilled DB, but you're just not going to measure up athleticism wise. Okay. I'm going to flip it back to this now. You also need to start upping your IQ and then be developed in the terms of your football skills. Now, that sounds counter to what I just said. Build your athleticism, learn about the game. When you get to high school, though, be on point with your technique, your understanding of schematics, and all of those good things. Because if you don't measure up athletically, if you're not 6'1" or 6'2", and you don't have any control over that, or even though you've been working at it, you're not a 10-7 or a 10-500 4-3 guy. What's going to help you get looks and get to that next level is your understanding of the game, understanding of coverages, and your ability to have really good technique. Now, I know some guys are going to be watching this, and you might be in some part of the country where there aren't defensive back trainers or coaches or people that can help you. Maybe your coach at school, your defensive back coach, just has a basic knowledge. He's doing the best that he can. However, if you're in one of those areas, it is in your best interest to gain as much knowledge about the game as possible if you're trying to play at the next level. And if you're watching this, you're already taking that next step. It's why I push this book, 101 DB Tips. It's why I push my members area, not just to be selling something. It's because I know that this is what guys need. And sometimes, you get all the way down to your senior year and you start to realize it too late. I don't know as much as I need to know. I'm not as technically sound as I need to be. And you're going to try and make up for it in this very short space of amount of time. And you just kind of run out of time. I see it happen every year. As early as you can, you want to try and get down on those things. So college football coaches are looking for developed players. If you're talking about the Power 4 guys, for sure. All right. Now, the groups behind it are starting to get that way as well. Okay. The group of fives are starting to get that way as well. They're not quite there yet, but they're getting a little stuffy too, because they're grabbing from the transfer portal. When the guys go to the bigger schools, the Ohio States and the Texases, and they flame out there, the group of five schools are starting to grab those guys now. So they're getting a little bit stuck up as well and are trying to go to the transfer portal before they go to high school, because all of these coaching staffs are under pressure, and that means they need to win now. And that does not lend itself to grabbing an 17, 18-year-old from high school and getting him out on the field as quickly as possible. They know a lot of times that that's going to be difficult to grab a kid right off of one moment he was in the prom, next moment he's lined up in front of 60,000 people in some kind of rivalry game trying to guard a receiver that might have been in college for 2 or 3 years. If that is going to be the case, if they're going to view you in that light, you have to be a developed player coming out of high school. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It'd be nice to have a little bit of leisure or be able to roll into your college career and think, oh, I'm going to have some time to grow and develop. That ship is sailing. I'm not saying it's sailed. It's not all the way gone, but it's definitely pulled away from the dock. All right. And so I know that brings a great deal of amount of anxiety and pressure to parents, players, etc. But it is what it is. So if you're trying to play college football, you have to be developed coming out of high school. That means knowledge of scheme, knowledge of technique, and being able to execute it, and understanding how offenses attack so that they feel comfortable enough bringing you on. All right. And in a lot of cases, freshmen need to get out on that field, that if they're putting you out there and you're not 6'1" or 10'5", you have enough knowledge of scheme, you understand how the offenses attack, and you have good enough technique to go out there and play and be a factor in games. If you don't have that, Hey, while you're out there training to be the part, might as well look the part. Sometimes you just gotta fake it till you make it. And one of the best ways to do that is with gear like this from the All Eyes DB Camp shop. A wise man once said, when you feel good, you look good. When you look good, you play good. When you play good, they pay good. Now you can look good when you head over to All Eyes DB Camp shop. You get shirts like this, Play Defense t-shirt. I got long sleeves, I've got shorts, I've got no sleeves, I've got arm sleeves. Everything you need to look like the DB you think you're going to be. Head on over, have a link to it down below. Go get dressed up now. You don't have that physical part, meaning the elite part. I'm not saying, you're not going to get to college if you just are not, you don't have any physical skills at all. You got to have a certain amount of physical skills. So you at least meet those minimum requirements to be a college football player. But if you're out there and you're on the lower end of the physical part, and then you can't combine it with the development mentally and technique-wise for the game, they just can't bring you on. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but college football coaches are getting axed and fired left and right. James Franklin at Penn State, Brian Kelly at LSU, Billy Napier at Florida. Every time you turn around, another guy is getting axed. They just are feeling so much pressure. They have to win almost right away. A college coach gets about 2 years, maybe 3, to pull it all together. They're not winning within 3 years, they're out of there. If they win early on and then they follow up the next 2 years with bad seasons, they're out of there and they're gone. So with that amount of pressure, that pressure trickles down, okay? Pressure from that coach's feeling is going to trickle down to the players. And so they can't just bring guys on and wait around for them to develop. Oh, they'll get on their junior year. In my day, a freshman would get redshirted, most likely. Then he is, if he's good, he's playing on special teams, his redshirt freshman year, then he's getting bits and pieces of action his sophomore year. Then his junior year is when he really glows up and he goes out there and he's a full-time starter. That is not the timetable anymore. You coming in here as a freshman, you're on that field, okay? If you're going power forward, you're on that field at Ole Miss, at Death Valley, playing against LSU. You're out there, 18 years old, in front of 90-something thousand screaming fans. You're on that field during a crucial drive. I'm not talking about if you're getting blown out or if you're blowing the other team out, you're out there. No, you're in there in a crucial moment. And how do you think that happens? That doesn't happen if you have limited knowledge of scheme and your technique is okay, it's still developing. No, that's not how that works. Now, they might throw a big guy out there with some speed and just think, okay, through that, he'll just, make a play here or there. If you're not that guy physically, you better be on that. I hope I've made that clear. That's how this game works now. So you guys thinking you can float around and just kind of know stuff, kind of know how defenses work, and your technique's kind of okay, and you think college coaches are coming to find you, you're going to be sitting in that amphitheater watching the stage on signing day. You're not going to be on the stage looking at people in the crowd. You're going to be in the crowd watching other people sign up their scholarships on signing day. That's just how that works. And I hope you are getting the message. You need to be developed. It's how guys like me have been able to grow in this business. College coaches don't really have time to be teaching like the ins and outs anymore. They're teaching you their scheme. Everyone has their scheme, and they need the players to know it inside and out. A good amount of the individual time is spent teaching scheme. I'm suspecting a lot of that's happening in high school as well. So, it starts to get difficult for high school coaches to do that. I will say this, if you're a high school coach watching this, please refrain from doing that. If you got to limit your scheme a little bit to spend more time teaching guys tools like back pedals, hip flips, how to press, how to guard the deep ball, give them as many tools as you can while they're in high school so that they can survive and play well at the next level. Too many times guys are coming out of high school and they just totally understand the scheme that you ran in high school, but they don't have the skills to play anything when they get there. They barely have the skills to play in your scheme. You spend so much time teaching them the scheme so they'll know who they've got if two guys switch or what zone they're supposed to be in. or what check needs to be made. They've spent all their time doing that. So they're just really good on your scheme. What happens when they go to college and there's another scheme? So they've got to learn that scheme at the college if it's different than yours, and it probably will be. Then they also don't have the tools. They don't have the tools. So spend some more time teaching them those tools. It will pay off down the road. You know what? Also, kind of limiting your scheme a little bit. And I hate to use that word, but limiting your scheme, cutting it down some might actually make them better players for you on Friday nights. They might actually move faster because they're not so bombarded with all of these scheme checks and all of the different ins and outs that you're doing. I get it. You go to the college clinics in the off season and the college coaches are teaching you what they do at their college. They're at college. They have more time with their players, and they're coaching and teaching more mature players. You are in high school. Some of these guys don't even know the basics when they come to you, and you guys are already on page 30. They don't even know the basics. Understand that in high school, you're getting a kid that might have been a running back all his life. Or you might get a kid that has never played football before. He's coming out to you for the first time in playing football as a sophomore, and he never has before. He just watched it on TV or he played Madden. And here you are skipping ahead to teach him stubby or, something you saw from the Vic Fangio family of coverages. I get it. There's a ton of information that's available out there to you. And so you want to implement all of this stuff. I've been there. I've been a coach, and I've definitely thrown too much on players before. I have definitely done that. And I'm telling you, dial back some of it, slide a little bit more to technique, teach those guys how to backpedal. Stop saying, oh, it's too hard to teach them how to backpedal. No, it's not. It's hard because you want to hurry up and teach them all the ins and outs of your quarter scheme. And you just don't want to spend that much time teaching a guy how to backpedal and, learn how to flip his hips and how to weave. Well, guess what? That guy's going to be in your quarter system. Your safety is going to be lined up on that hash, and a slot wide receiver is going to come blazing at him. And because you didn't have enough time to teach him how to backpedal, he's going to open his hips too fast, and that slot's going to just break to his back and run away from him. 60, 70-yard touchdown. Was that scheme? I mean, he knew he was supposed to cover that guy one-on-one. He knew that. He just didn't have the tools to do it. All right. So, I've kind of slid over on my high school coaches now, but please dial back some of it. Teach them a little bit of skill. I mean, it's not that hard. Give them a chance to survive at the next level. But the bottom line here, the overarching theme of this segment is I want high school players and the parents of high school players to understand that it is no longer okay to kind of know scheme, kind of have technique, and kind of understand how offenses attack and think your kid's going to go to college and get a scholarship. He better be a monster physically. If he's not going. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be trying to go to a junior college or some prep school, and you're going to have to go through that whole thing. It's going to have to go that whole route. It's a long way to go. He needs to be developed, and that's why I push these resources. It's why I push the book. It's why I push the members area. It's why I make these videos on YouTube. And I'm here to tell you, in the beginning, these YouTube videos are enough. As you go down the road, you need more. Okay, you need more. And that's why I offer these other resources. You guys should probably jump on that. All right, time now for the mailbag question. I really enjoy this segment each and every week. And once again, do need to tell you guys this. If you want to have your question read on the next Indy Drills podcast, best way to do that is ask your question in the comment section down below on this particular podcast. I read all of the comments, see your question there, and I think it's something that I'd like to put on the next Indy Drills podcast. I will indeed let you know that. And of course, for anyone whose question that I read on a future Indy Drills podcast, I will send you a free copy of my ebook, 101 DB Tips, if I read your question. Okay, if you're just listening to this on stream, I'm going to just say the best way for you to do that is send your question to cwilson@alleyedsdbcamp.com. Whether or not I read it on the air on the next Indy Drills podcast or not, you're going to get an answer to your question, and there is no bad question. Okay, just want you guys to understand that there's no bad question. I understand that YouTube goes worldwide. So if you're in Brazil, or if you're in the Philippines, or if you're in Japan, or if you're in England, if you're somewhere else, I understand that you have a limited knowledge of the game and you're trying to up that, and I'm here for that. So ask your question. No question is too there's no bad questions when it comes to DB play, unless you're out here trolling. I don't need trolls. I understand that people right here at home, you may be brand new to playing defensive back, brand new to football, whatever the case may be. And even if you're a fan and you just want to know something about defensive back play because it makes it easier for you to understand the game, go ahead and get that question off. Drop it down in the comment section if you're watching me on YouTube. If you're just listening to this on your podcast streaming device, send me an email to cwilson@alleyeasdbcamp.com. Got a good question this week. The question is from Matt C. in New York. My DB coach is always telling me what I need to watch, that I need to watch more film, but I'm not sure what I should be watching. Can you tell me what I'm supposed to be looking for on film? Matt, that's a great question. It's one that I get a lot. And I hear it quite often. Coaches want you to watch more film. They're just not able to give you guidance on that. So my answer to this is going to be both for coaches and for players. And I'm just going to give you a general framework on this. What you're looking for when you're watching film is just tendencies, first of all. Okay. You're trying to put yourself in a position that when that game comes, you have an idea of what is coming before it actually comes. You just don't want to be fully reactive when you're out there on that football field. So you're looking for tendencies, as many as you can, that you can jot down and memorize so that when the game comes and you see those triggers for those tendencies, you can anticipate something and you can kind of get a quicker jump on whatever the play is that's coming. So what are these tendencies? First tendencies are going to be, I would say, down and distance. All right. A lot of guys play this game and they don't know the down and distance when they're lining up. Okay. They know first down, obviously, because a big deal is made. Obviously, when the team runs out on the field and they're starting the drive, you know that's first down. And then you're fully aware when a team gets a first down in a series because, you know, guys are upset in the huddle or your coach is pissed or whatever. But outside of that, guys aren't sure how many yards are needed for the yard to the line to gain. So you're not sure. It's second down, but you don't know. Do they need 8 yards, 4 yards, whatever the case may be? Get an awareness of that, first of all. But down and distance does determine a lot what the offense is going to do. There are different plays in the playbook for an offense when it's 2nd and 15 versus 2nd and 5. So that's the number one determining factor. Okay. Down and distance. So as you're watching film, take note of the types of plays that they want to run in the different down and distance situations. Okay. What do they like to run on 1st and 10? What are they more likely to do on 2nd and 10? What are they more likely to do on 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 4 through 6? If it's 2nd down and 2 and 3, what are they likely to do in those situations, and so on and so forth? What are they like on 3rd and 4 through 6, as opposed to 3rd and 10? You're going to start right there. The down and distance is the first thing you need to pay attention to. The second thing you need to pay attention to is formation. Now, formation dictates what plays are going to be run. Certain plays are run out of certain formations. So what do they like to do in 2x2 sets when they have 2 receivers to the right, 2 receivers to the left, and the back is either on the right or left? Now you're going to start to try and find the tendencies there. What plays do they like out of that? If they're a traditional like I formation team, what do they run when they're in I formation? Do they have a fullback in the game? Is the fullback set off to the weak side or the strong side? When they do those things, what plays do they like to run out of that? Whatever their formations are, you start trying to get some tendencies there. When they empty the backfield and there's 5 wide receivers everywhere and no one's in the backfield, what are they likely to run? So first we have down and distance, then we have formations. What are the tendencies in both of those situations? The next thing that will determine the plays that are coming are personnel. What do they like to run when they have 1 tight end in a game, 2 tight ends in a game, 5 wide receivers in a game, 2 backs in the backfield? Kind of relates to the formations, but personnel now dictates things. Some coaches like to run plays to specific players. All right. So the players that are in the game, whatever personnel it is, however many tight ends, however many running backs, however many wide receivers. And then also if there's a key player for the other team. Some teams will just run on the back of one player. It might be just that one killer running back that they have that's rushing for 2,000 yards this season, or it might be the receiver that has 10 catches per game, or there's just a gimmick guy that runs reverses and all of these key things, a guy that they're really trying to get the football to. That probably describes most high schools. If there's a key guy, then where is he located in the formation? All right. If he's always in the same spot, no problem. But if they sometimes take him and move him into the slot, sometimes he's in a backfield, sometimes he's at a Y off position. If he's lining up in various spots, you're going to want to take note of what plays they run when he's in specific positions. All of these things now are going to be things that you notice when you get out there in the field. All right. This is why you got to watch so much film, because think about all the things that I just said. You need to know what they tend to do in certain downs and distances. Then you want to match that up with what they run out of certain formations, and then where guys are located on the field. That's a lot of film watching. But if you do your due diligence and you watch enough of it, now when you're out on the field on Friday or Saturday or even Sunday, you are going to notice those things. First of all, what's the down and distance, 2nd and 7, and you run through in your head, what are the likely things that I'm getting? Now the formation comes out, and now you can condense that down even more. In 2nd and 7, they like these 6 plays, but then this formation comes out. Now there's only like 3 or 4 plays that they like out of that. Oh, and then that key guy is in the slot, and there's only really 2 plays that they would run out of that formation with him there on this down and distance. Do you see how now that kind of narrow downs the possibilities and how that's going to make you move faster? All right. If there's 6 possibilities, there's a little bit of hesitancy. If it drops down to 4, now there's a little bit, you're a little less hesitant. It could be 1 of 4 things. Now, if it drops down to 1 or 2, think about how much faster you're going to move and how you anticipate. So in the general framework of things, those are the things that you need to pay attention to as you watch film, and you're going to need to run it back and watch and take notes. Run it back, watch, take notes. And you're going to need to do this just about each and every day. And as that game day gets closer, what you're going to do is pop that film on, pick the best one, and you just watch it going through. Try not to rewind and just run through the notes. So you're essentially playing the game before the game. You're just going to let a full game film run, and you're going to see how quick you pick up and notice things, how quick and you are able to pick up and notice things. And that last film run through is going to give you an idea of how quick you're going to be able to recognize things on game day and react to them. So you do all that film work, take all those notes, study, you go through the practice, and you practice through, you go through your little script and practice. You kind of develop an idea there. You figure out the tendencies, you kind of move. But then as you get really close to that game day, perhaps the day before or maybe the day of, you make that last run through and you just kind of play the game as it goes through. Now, there are more details to this, and I have an extensive section in my members area about watching film as we dig in a little deeper. But I'm assuming, Matt, in you asking me this question, you just have no idea. And I don't want to start off by bombarding you. That's the basic framework of what you need to know when it comes to film sessions. As you continue to dig deeper into it and you really, really want to know, you really, really want to get on things, it gets a little deeper. And like I said, I dig into that with a nice series in the All Eyes DB Camp members area. There is a link to the All Eyes DB Camp members area down below. I highly recommend that you and anyone else playing defensive back or coaching defensive backs join that. I've created that for you guys to up your IQ on the game and become playmakers. It's just all about an education of playing this position. Again, that's why I created it. So that's your general framework there, Matt, and anyone else who's interested in that. That's how you're going to go about in the beginning, studying film, get your tendencies down, and kind of look at those 3 things as you start out. All right, Matt, you do that, you're going to just start making better plays, and you're going to make your coach happy, and you can spread that to the other players on the team, because it's no fun if you're just the only guy making plays. To be honest, if you're the only guy making plays, the offenses just start to avoid you and they attack the other players who don't know as much as you do. So spread the wealth on that, or have them watch the Indy Drills podcast. You could share this video with them. All right. Once again, if you guys have a question out there that you would like to get answered about defensive back play, secondary, anything, you can even ask me questions about my past, whatever. I'm cool. Anything secondary, you can drop that comment with the question down below if you're watching this on YouTube. Otherwise, send me an email to cwilson@alleyesdbcamp.com and we'll take your question there. All right, time now for the final topic, and it is this: stop running quarters. Have I gotten your attention? All right, it's probably for you coaches out there. Not probably, it is for you coaches out there. I am sick of seeing this. All right. Everyone is running the same coverages, and you want to tell me, we tweak ours a little bit differently, or we do ours a little bit differently, and that's why it's quarters. Each and every week, that offense is coming and lining up against the same coverage every week. Now, just imagine this as a defensive coordinator. Imagine you have 10 games on your schedule, and every one of the teams that you played run same spread offense with the basic same plays. All right, it's the same framework. All right, it might have a different play here or there, but it's the same spread offense. Doubles, trips, empty, quads every week. Wouldn't your life be so easy? How easy would that make your life if that's what it is? Well, I'm here to tell you right now, that's what offensive coaches are getting. I have been talking to offensive coaches lately. I've been engaged in that whole side of the ball. And I'm telling you right now, they are in complete joy. Each and every week, they get to see the same coverage. And they laugh at, the guys that think they're tweaking something. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's the same quarters coverage. Your little tweak is not affecting them. And we have become so in love with it. I'm talking to all levels. So if you somehow end up being an NFL defensive coordinator that has staggered upon this podcast and you're here listening to it, stop. All of you guys are running the same damn coverage. And I'm telling you, it's not that hot. You've been doing this for like a decade now. Not only are all of you running the same coverage, same framework, stop. You know you didn't have all the interceptions that you wanted to have this year. So how are we going to fix that problem? I've got two great resources for you. First is my book, 101 DB Tips, chock full of information and tips for you to get your hands on that pigskin. Everything from how to train, how to play man coverage, how to play zone coverage, and a whole lot more. Plus, the All Eyes DB Camp members area breaks down coverages for you, technique, quizzes, all kinds of great things in there that's going to up your knowledge, that's going to get your hands more times on the football this year. Check them out. I have a link in the description down below. You have been running it for so long that the offenses are just so fully able to plot against it. Your little silly tweaks aren't working. Offenses are more potent now than ever. And we could go on and say, the rules. Nah, not just the rules, man. It's that all of you guys are doing the same thing. All of you coaches are going to those clinics at the end of the season to prepare for next year. And all of those coaches talking at the clinics are telling you about quarters coverage. And that's what you learn. And then you bring it back. And however many hundred thousands of you guys are running the same damn coverage, quarters. Quarters was fun when it first came out. The Miami Dolphins of the late 90s and early 2000s probably ran quarters the best that I've ever seen it run. And a big part of it being such a great thing for them, they had great execution with it. I will say that. The second part of it was they were kind of new with it. And so there was such an adjustment for offenses to kind of deal with what they were doing. They were kind of the only team doing that. A lot of other teams were running 2 and Tampa 2 because that was the flavor thing to be doing then. You know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Indianapolis Colts were kind of having a lot of success with cover 2. And so people were really running that. But then the Dolphins came out with this quarters coverage. It was new. It was an adjustment for offenses, and they had a little hard time figuring it out. There's nothing to figure out anymore. Everyone's running cover 4. They're running quarters. There was a big discussion, thanks to Coach JB a couple of weeks ago, about quarters. And everyone was offering their opinions on it. You know why? Because everyone's running it. But I'm here to tell you right now, first of all, corners hate it, okay? All the corners I train hate quarters. They hate it. They don't tell you that because, you It's kind of like the dad out there that just loves something and he's telling the son about it, and the son just doesn't want to disappoint dad. And dad wants to do this, so let's just do it. Dad wants to go bowling. I hate bowling, but I'm not going to tell dad that. Dad is so happy. He's so happy to be bowling. He's got his bowling shirt. He's got a bowling bag. We're going bowling. I can't tell dad I don't like bowling. I'll tell him when I'm an adult, but that's what it's like. They're running the coverage because that's the coverage you guys want to run, and they know their place. And I'm going to come in here and tell you to run something else. They hate it. They hate being outside leverage versus a post. And maybe they're going to get help from the safety, but they didn't. Big post. And they're chasing that post across the field. And it doesn't matter how fast you are. You're not catching that receiver when the post gets thrown away from you on the other side of the field. They all hate it. They hate how the linebackers are not really held accountable in the coverage. Yep, they're supposed to be underneath one, but if they don't, and they're not underneath one, and that big speed out or comeback is caught, and the cornerback's the first one on the scene pushing them out of bounds, everyone blames the corner, but the linebacker was over there, for lack of a better term, dicking around in the curl or didn't really get out there or just stayed at 5 yards and the ball was thrown over his head, his responsibility, but no one's going to really say anything. Especially if the defensive coordinator used to play linebacker. He's not going to bother that guy at all. Corners hate it. You know who hates it next? The safeties. They hate it as well, even though they get a little bit of a leeway when they don't help on the double team on the post. Yet, no one really gets on their case about it. No one really notices it because that's, responsibility based, and, the common fan doesn't understand the responsibility of that safety. And so therefore they won't know when he's missed his read there. But the other thing is you're asking that safety to be able to trigger on a run play, which nowadays they have these slow RPOs. So his read is super delayed as the quarterback takes the ball from here and slowly keeps it in the belly while he's reading that safety. And whatever the safety does is wrong. If he steps forward, he pulls it out, throws the ball behind him. If he falls back and lays back, then the ball's put in the running back's belly. So you're asking him to trigger up if the ball is given to that running back or the quarterback keeps it, or he's got to haul ass backwards for some speed merchant wide receiver that's running a ball behind him, or a safety or a slot receiver that's screaming right at him at 100 miles an hour. Okay, so just imagine that. I've got a slot wide receiver who is a 2-time track champion in 100 meters speeding at me 100%, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be one-on-one with that guy because the quarterback is just slow playing me with a RPO read. Or just even worse, just a traditional take the snap and hand the ball off to a Derrick Henry type. I'm not sure if he's handing that ball to that big 200-pounder that would like to see me dead. I'm not sure if he's handing it to him, but I'm going to tell you what's in a safety's mind. If that guy's a really big downhill runner, going to run, take my head off, I want to meet that guy as fast as possible. I don't want him getting as much speed as possible at me. So I'm going to try to go meet that guy. And then what happens if that quarterback pulls the ball out of his belly, turns around, stands up, and now there's a post or a dig route behind me? Whoops. So you're asking me as a safety, go trigger up there and make a play on a big running back running downhill. And if they don't do that, I need you to go get back and get up underneath the track star that might be running in your area. That's basically what's going on. I know there's 100 million different tweaks, and you guys think, we got this fix for that. Ultimately, that's what's ending up happening. And the offensive coaches know that. And I'm just watching this manipulation go on every week. I watch high school film. I see it happening there. I watch college film. I see it happening there. I'm watching in the NFL. It's super happening there because everyone is running the quarters-based system, and no one wants to not have 2 safeties on each hash. What the hell's wrong with putting a guy in the post? I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But just what's wrong with having 1 safety in the post and 1 high look? People are scared to death of this. We're so scared to death of it. Anyway, that's what you're asking a safety to do. And you know what? It might not even just be fair of a big, heavy running back coming downhill. The really super shifty guys, I'm going to tell you also as well, safeties don't want to be waiting back for that guy either. Once he gets through that mess in the line of scrimmage, he exits through the line of scrimmage, and now there's a bunch of space to the left and there's a bunch of space to the right. He's going to ruin my life as a safety. Because if I'm hesitant on that because, I might have a pass responsibility, and then I come up late and he's exited that line of scrimmage and there's room to the left and to the right and he's shifty, I got a problem. This dude might break me the hell off. And I haven't worked enough on tackling because we have spent the entire individual period working on scheme and where I'm supposed to be in scheme. So we didn't do enough tackle drills. We didn't do enough open field tackling drills. And if we did enough open field tackling drills, I haven't worked enough on my coverage to help with a slot coming down. I'm definitely not learning how to weave and backpedal and manage myself appropriately against a slot that's running at me that I might be one-on-one on in that coverage scheme. I don't have time to do all of that because we're spending so much time learning the checks and the different modifications that we need to make in quarters. So I don't have the tools, but you're asking me to do some really difficult things. Trigger downhill on a big running back or a shifty running back, or get back and cover a slot, a double team on a wide receiver, or be one-on-one with a slot. What is that? You guys, coaches, need to stop being afraid of having one safety in the middle of the field. Okay? You're worried about the seams? How about you spend a little bit more time teaching guys how to actually cover? Teach them how to use catch technique. Spend some time teaching them scooch technique. Spend some time teaching them the proper way to keep their leverage and kind of use the fact that there's one safety in the middle of the field to their advantage. And then, perhaps be able to force a guy to a rat in the middle, whether that's your middle linebacker or the other off linebacker that's sitting there. Teach them those skills. You don't have to be afraid of one safety in the middle of the field. You teach your corners how to cover on the outside, take a proper leverage versus a wide receiver split, and they can cover one-on-one out there, and you don't have to worry about, the safety didn't get over there to help them. Maybe they don't need all that help if you teach them all that skills. They'll be right there in that wide receiver's hip pocket when the ball comes. You know what great thing's going to happen out of that? Because you've got that one safety in the middle of the field, you've got more guys downstairs committed to that run. So when the team tries to run the football at you, you've got one extra guy in the run game to fill a gap. And now you don't ask your safety to be the man on run and be the man versus pass. I know this was fun in the beginning, and there are going to be a bunch of coaches at the clinics that show you how they had success against, offenses running quarters with their little tweak. Oh, here's how we run quarters. Okay. First of all, it's probably old film back when offenses were trying to figure out quarters. But man, I'm telling you right now, I'm watching this each and every week. People's quarters system getting raped, for lack of a better term. Let's get a little bit more creative, coaches. I get it if you're brand new into this game and you're just trying to learn and you go to the clinics and, this is what you're being taught and you just want to kind of go with what's being taught because the coach talking to you is successful or has been successful at some point. I'm just going to appeal to you and say, take that framework, maybe you work some principles in it, but get a little creative as well. Figure out some ways that you can do some other things. Figure out how you can run some coverages where there is one safety in the middle of the field and the corners and the underneath guys can cover, and you can commit more guys to the run to get it shut down so you can get things a little bit more favorable. I was a defensive coordinator in an era where people were running quarters, kind of in the beginning or let's say the middle of it, and I didn't run quarters. I would occasionally run it as a coverage. It was not a defensive system for me. While everyone else was running quarters, I was out there running a lot of my one highs. And I would run those one highs. We would smother you down with coverages because my guys are going to know technique. They're going to understand how to cover. Okay. Cover one and cover three. And we would reroute those seam routes. You're not just going to scream down the field and hit the seams because I don't want you guys in the comments crying about, well, what about the seams? Nope. We're going to reroute those seams. We'll play some match three. So if a guy is running a seam, we're going to have a guy covering him and the safety doesn't have to, lose his mind. We'll keep those seams in close to the hash. And if your free safety can't get from hash to hash, well, then get another free safety or teach him some better skills. So there aren't going to be any seams running wide open. That's a big myth. If you teach them some technique, I would do that. And then after we've smothered a team, we've got a nice lead, start running some cover two high safeties. And woe to you if I'm running cover two and you can't run the football. The game's essentially over, basically. All right. Well, I'm running cover two and you can't run the ball up front. We're still whipping you up front. Well, it's over for you. You're done. You're done for. But this each and every week, everyone's running the same coverage. Man, it's just disheartening to see. There's no creativity whatsoever. And the players are just out there like sitting ducks. They know the coverage that we're in. They're attacking it. They're plotting against it. I'm seeing guys just really get abused. Corners getting beat on post routes. I'm seeing nickels on number 2 and trips getting completely wiped out because they're playing with outside leverage in the trip scheme and they don't get the help from the inside guy. And here they are on TV with their fans and their parents watching as they're just getting completely bombed. You guys know what I'm talking about. You guys running that stump and stubby every time against trips. The number 2 guy's being covered outside by the nickel player, and maybe he gets the help from the safety inside or not, but nevertheless gets beat on a post route that impossible for him to cover. Go on, tell me about how, our quarters is different. That won't happen. Okay. I'm saying, guys, get a little bit more creative. Let's start mixing some other stuff in there and make offensive coordinators think. I get it. They're running hurry-up offenses. Don't let that deter you. Come up with something different. Because they're just running these hurry-up offenses, and because you guys are so vanilla, they know exactly what it is they're going to get. Because everyone's running it. The coach this week is running the same thing the coach last week ran, and the same thing the coach next week is going to run, and they're just hitting it and attacking it and going right down the field. So it's not just because they're running hurry up that they're scoring points. And it's not just because the rules are kind of in their favor that they're scoring points. They're scoring points because all of you guys look the same. Every week, you look the same. And your players are out there running the same coverages every week. And on top of that, they don't have the tools to run it. That's the situation that's going on. I am the trainer. The players talk to me. And they have expressed their displeasure with that. It's like knowing their plans. They might as well, yell out the coverages because, offenses just know it. I think I've made the point here. All right. Coaches, let's get a little bit more creative. Coaches, let's spend a little bit more time teaching these guys the tools that they need. If you just absolutely positively have to run quarters, if you must, please give them the tools to survive in it. All right. Have those corners know that they need to cover those deep routes. And if they give up the deep out or the comeback, it's not your fault. Linebackers, get up underneath that because you can't ask your corner to cover the deep out and the comeback, but also be there for the post. That is not going to happen. I don't care who the corner is. It could be Dion, Darrell Revis, Stephon Gilmore, Champ Bailey. That could be his name. He's not going to be able to cover the deep comeback as well as the big post to the other side of the field. Not going to happen. All right. I think I made my point there. And that's going to be it for the show. I think you guys passionately, as you see the passion I have. The passion you have for quarters is the passion I have for you guys to start running something else. Let's start getting back to making the offenses think. I want to see an innovator out there. Someone just become an innovator, and let's create the next coverage that everyone else is going to talk about at the clinics. And 5 years from now, I'm going to have to make another video to ask y'all to stop running that. Please. Let's start it now, though, because I'm sick of the 40 points every week. I generally will watch 2 teams play, and I don't know the 2 teams. I have no vested interest, no players on there, and I just immediately get pissed that the offense is going up and down the field against the same coverage. All right. That's going to be it for me. On the way out, if you enjoy this video, if it helped you, please give it a like and a share. Drop your comments down below. I talked a lot about different topics here in the show. Love the engagement. Love being able to speak to you guys. It also helps me create different content in the future. I'd appreciate that. On your way out, though, do check out the link down below that I have for 101 DB tips. Everything that I have learned and developed over my 20 plus years playing, coaching, and training is right here in this book. Also, I have a link down in the description for the All Eyes DB Camp members area. Full drill library in there. I talk strategy. I explain coverages. There's quizzes. We have discussions in there. I go live. I do lives Wednesday night. A lot of great stuff in there. If you've got both of these things, there's no way you don't become a better player. And if you meet the minimum physical requirements, if you are knee deep in the 101 DB tips in the All Eyes DB Camp members area, it would be hard for me to think that you are not going to play college football somewhere if you're a high school football player. It would be hard for me to believe that you're not going to become a lights out college football player or be a better NFL player if you have these things at your disposal. All right. That's it for me. I'm out of here. And as always, All Eyes DB Camp. Consistency breeds results.